Tuesday, January 26th, 2020.
Speaker, that would help me, Jenny.
Yeah, I'm worried there's going to be a kickback. Mike, back on the email that I sent to you, there's also a telephone number.
Yeah.
If you can dial into that telephone number, then you can have audio through the phone.
I'll do that. I'm going to try it right now.
Number to you?
If you can read the number to me, and then as soon as I hang up, I'll dial it. If you want to give it to me.
I would stay on the Zoom call though. You don't need to.
I'm not going to touch the tablet. I'm not going to touch the tablet.
All right, bear with us.
Just leave the number, right?
Yep, I'm going to get it to my email and get that for you.
Speaker, that would help me.
Oh God.
Yeah, I'm worried there's going to be a.
Say again, Mike? I don't have headphones on, so I probably won't hear you. You doing okay? Yeah. You had a tough day? You worked out okay? Yeah.
Yep, yep.
Last stuff's on
929 436
not just school, but
2866. Okay, I'll call that right now. Thank you.
Anything you want to talk about or what? No, not really. I need to all that. Not too serious. Hey, buddy.
Enter your participant ID followed by pound. Otherwise, after the tone, please record your name. When you have finished recording, press pound.
Mike.
You are in the meeting now.
Hello?
There are 13 participants in the meeting.
Hello.
Recorded.
All set.
Yeah, can you hear us, Mike?
I can hear you now. Thank you.
Okay, great. So here's how we're going to do this. I muted you on the tablet, but you can still see us on the tablet, and we can hear you.
Yes.
As long as you hold your phone up, we'll be able to hear you when you talk.
Yeah, that's fine. It's working just like normal as though the speaker was on the tablet. That works fine.
Okay, great. So what I will do, just so that we're all on the same page, is I will share my screen, which has the budget on it, and we have a few new members of the advisory committee. So I was hoping that what you could do is walk us through the elements of your budget.
Yeah. Okay. So building inspector. So, hello everyone, and welcome the new members. I'm Mike Savageau, the building official. I think I'm in my 13th year as the building commissioner for the town, part-time. As you see, most of our budget is based on wages. My wages just are regular as they are in the salary administration plan. Any normal increase just naturally takes place with that. Outside of that, I do have a small budget line item that we've maintained in the budget for my assistant. So in the event that I was to get sick or have an operation or something was to happen, that there is some money set aside, as little as it is to have him fill in. And then after that, it would be obviously how you would handle it, in an emergency situation if it was for a longer period of time, or it would just come off of my wages. So my vehicle maintenance has really been about the same for almost 13 years. That's what I've been allowed, using my own personal vehicle, gas, insurance. Actually, I'm in my father-in-law's right now because I'm doing the wheel bearings on mine right now. So, I use it for other things, but it works. And so that's always been maintained. I've never asked for an increase in any of my line items since the beginning, and that works. So I'm satisfied that that's taking care of the bulk of what it cost me to run my car for the purpose of the town. For training, that is for if we go and we have to stay licensed as commissioners and inspectors. And some of the seminars that we go to have a cost associated with them, and that's set aside to do some training here and there. The actual training period was up December 31st. The state has extended that due to COVID, and we're allowed now to be certified for the upcoming this year until December 31st. I already have all of my credentials and plenty of credits already for the next 3-year period after this coming year. So I did not use any of that, I don't think, last year for anything. I do not anticipate it this year, only because I have plenty of credits, and I don't intend to go to UMass if unnecessary, where I can get my local training at no cost. So the line item for training, if you really needed it, you could take it. If you'd like to keep it in there, it would be helpful just in case something did come up and it does cost. I know we will be going into the new code within the next year if everything doesn't get pushed off due to approvals based on COVID. But there will be training coming up with this year and in the future years. So if you wanted to leave that alone, that would be helpful. Supplies, Kristen takes care of the office for me. And generally, other than pens, now that we're using tablets and everything is done online, we've had less of a need for supplies, but Kristen does handle those items. And for the line item, as small as it is helpful to have that there, because we do buy things. We still do use some paper and things like that. And really, that's kind of it. In a nutshell, it's a small budget, and I'm happy to assist the town, and it's really been going well.
Thank you so much. That was helpful. Do any of our new members have questions for Mike while he's here? I'm going to stop sharing the screen because it's easier to see.
Okay.
Looks like no questions. Okay, so I have no questions. It's a very straightforward budget, and I think given that even though you may not use the $250 for training this year, I think leaving it in, it's a small enough amount that if something comes up, it's there, and also we don't lose sight of it for next year. So I would entertain a motion to approve the building inspector budget. That's item 241 for a total request of $34,693.
I'll second that.
I didn't hear who moved
Ian.
first. I'll move it. Okay, great. So Craig moves and seconds, and I'll do a roll call. Ann?
Aye.
Craig? Aye. Bob? Aye. And Bill?
Aye.
Okay. Terrific. Thank you, Mike. I know it was a little tricky for you, and I apologize for that, but we really appreciate that you were able to be here tonight.
Yeah, no, that's my fault. I'm just not good with the technology stuff, and I really thank you very much, Jenny, for all your help, as you always help me with, and Kristen helps me with. I really appreciate it.
Jenny's muted, but I'm sure she's.
That's fine.
My pleasure.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Take care, everyone.
Good night.
All right, thanks, Jenny.
Okay. So next up, we're going to hear from the Board of Health, and I believe. Oh, did he just disappear? Oh no, he just moved on my screen. Mr. Chris Rogers is going to be here to present those budgets. How you doing?
Hey, good, Brian. How are you?
Good. Thank you for being
This is
here.
it's a crusher this year. So, where do you guys want to start? You just want to start on 510 or?
Let me just pull it up so we're all looking at the same thing. Why don't we actually let's start with 439 just because numerically
Okay.
scroll past it. So that's the landfill well monitoring expense for $6,100.
Correct. Yeah, we have backstory there. For those who don't know it, is the landfill was once upon an open dump. It has since been capped, and DEP is still requiring us to monitor we've got some monitoring wells in that property, and we test them to make sure that that nothing's coming out of it.
Okay, so I had a couple questions about this one. The actuals for 2020 were 0, which I guess means we didn't do any testing or monitoring.
That's not entirely true. What happened is I believe that Joel Frisch, the tester, either got his billing in too late or it didn't get submitted in time for payment. So I don't know how this works, but I assume that will kind of go back to town meeting and be one of the the unpaid bill lines
I see.
go through.
Yes, Jenny has it on her list for unpaid bills.
Got it. Okay. All right. So
This is just a question. I can't remember what the actual situation is, Chris, but we test this every year and report to DEP. At what point do we have an opportunity of saying it's no longer needed?
Well, that's a question that we put to DEP every year after we do the testing, and really have never been given a clear answer on that. But what I can do is I can ask Joel to, we'll be seeing him hopefully within the next couple of Board of Health meetings to set up this coming year's testing and find out. But we have never been given a straight answer on that.
And we haven't incurred any fines for.
No, because we've done it. And again, it kind of, it's important to our board because, this really is monitoring the wells that are residents' homes, that part of the testing is residents' homes around the landfill. We want to make sure that nothing's coming up. So
I guess the question is, at what point does that runoff no longer present a challenge?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. And like I said, I'd say I could find out, but I know it's a question we've been asking for at least the past 5 years and have never been given an answer. DEP, unfortunately, as a body, has been pretty gutted over the past number of years. So, it's just getting harder and harder for us to work with them.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like the 6,100 will be definitely utilized for FY22.
Yes.
And it would be great if you could just ask Mr. Frisch to press on them again. I know he always does, but no harm in asking again about.
Yep. No, I'll send Kristen an email as soon as we're done here and ask her to kind of incorporate that into our next meeting.
Okay.
Do we know approximately what the costs were in 2020?
I'm gonna guess they were 6,100 because historically we go to Joel and ask him to tell us what it's going to cost for the testing. He'll give us a number. So if we proposed a budget of 6,100 for the budget, I don't know what the actual bill is, but I suspect it's it's gonna be $600. We could ask the accountant, I'm not sure.
So do we pay the inspector directly?
We pay Joel. Joel is the environmental engineer out of Clinton or Lancaster that actually does the testing and then does
Okay.
the submission to DEP on our behalf.
Okay.
I don't have a copy of the bill. I don't know if, Jenny, do you have a copy?
Yeah, I mean, the
It's saying
actual,
it's the fives. Okay.
yeah, the actuals for the past couple of years have been above 53, so I'm guessing it's probably somewhere around 56, 57.
It could be. It could be because, what we will occasionally do as well is we may add a little bit more very sandy soils there, so some of the wells fail or they become untestable, for lack of a better term. And so we will sometimes add a little bit of money to whatever the estimate may be to make sure that we can actually put in a new well or revive the one that's not providing a good sample. And we would typically have this squared away by now, but with COVID and such, we're a little bit behind on lining this up for this year.
Any other questions? Okay. Is there a motion to approve?
I move we approve 439 for $6,100.
Second it.
Okay, roll call. Ann,
Aye.
Aye.
Craig,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
and I'm a yes as well. Okay, and then moving right along, Board of Health and Nursing. You can all see that, right?
Yep. That's good. Right there.
Okay.
Okay,
Any
go.
questions?
Yeah, can you just walk us through the Board of Health and Nursing budgets?
Let's do nursing as 522. We'll start with 510 if you don't mind. Wages for animal inspector and wages for our administrator are on there. Rabies testing the same. Associated Boards of Health has gone up a little bit, but not a lot. Advertising, same. Supplies, there's a zero there just because we're not, since the town has joined the Central Mass Mosquito Program, that was a line item that we would purchase the pucks or the dunks for the catch basins in town for mosquito control, which we no longer do. Travel and dues, the same. Then Neshoba Nursing, same thing. So Neshoba Nursing and Neshoba Associated Boards of Health are essentially the same organization that we contract services with 14 or so other towns. The nursing itself, that's Tamara, our town nurse. And then the Neshoba Associated is Bill Brookings, is Bridget, our food inspector, and all that stuff.
Okay, so because we have a couple new folks, I just want to make sure everybody understands the difference between the types of services we get under this Neshoba Associated Boards of Health versus the services we get for the nursing purchase of services. Could you talk a little bit about that, Chris?
I could. I mean, again, they are the same organization. They're both under the umbrella of Neshoba Associated Boards of Health. But again, Neshoba Associated Boards of Health, like I said, we're dealing with the town sanitarian, food inspector, things like that.
Yeah.
Neshoba Nursing is, again, going to be Tamara, and then also, whatever part they play in the flu clinics and things around town. So,
and she works more with like individuals on their, they might have some needs that she'll handle, whereas the Associated Boards of Health is more like institutional health services.
yes. So Tamara would actually go to your house if you're elderly, do a wellness check, things like that. But she's an actual nurse who goes out and helps the citizens of town. Neshoba Associated Boards of Health, yeah, that's more of the septic systems, permits, well permits, more the kind of the administrative piece. Although there are inspections associated with that and things like that. Between the two. So I don't know if that explanation was very helpful or not, but.
Do other folks have questions? When I was looking at the 522 budget, I had conflated the numbers and thought that it was underspent, but it actually looks like we've already spent 75% of this budget as of the end of December, and so I'm just wondering, like we're still comfortable with the 6655 will be sufficient for FY22.
They bill quarterly, so there's one more quarter left.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, and usually they're very good about making sure that we have accurate numbers to plug into our budget.
Got it. Oh, I see a question from Bob Zakansky.
Hi, has the town nurse been busier than usual for the past year?
Well, she certainly has been busier because of the COVID, and also I think Neshoba has actually hired 2 additional nurses to help with the backlog.
Any other questions?
Because just to finish that up, because they are participating and taking care of contact tracing and things for us. So there's quite a bit of work that's been done there that really won't be reflected in that. And again, I'm not sure if it ever will, because again, I don't know how this stuff works, but I know that Neshoba Associated Boards of Health have been getting monies from the federal, the feds and such, to kind of offset some of that costing for the contact tracing and things like that.
So you're sort of saying it's unlikely that we'll have to pay more in future years because of what happened this year.
I don't believe so.
Between now and June.
I'm sorry, what was that again, Bob?
Assuming the vaccine gets widely distributed between now and June.
Yeah, my guess is, and again, I can't say with 100% surety, but Jim Gareffi, the director, is pretty sharp. That assuming that he helped generate the numbers for nursing to come to us from Neshoba, that he's factored that in.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot for walking us through all that. Would somebody like to make a motion to approve 510 in the amount of $53,263? And also, let's just combine them. And budget 522 for $6,655.
Motion to approve 510 and 522.
I'll second that.
Okay. Ann?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Craig?
Aye.
And I'm a yes as well. Okay, great. Thank you so much, Chris.
No problem. Good to see you guys. Thank you for all the work you guys do here. So have a great night.
Yeah, you too.
Take care.
See you guys later. Bye, honey.
Bye.
Hey, Brian, I apologize. Was that Craig that seconded that motion?
Yep.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. So it's 7 o'clock, and by some miracle, we're actually right on time. There we go. And there's our fire chief. Hi, chief.
Good evening, Brian. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
By the way, I don't know if other folks are having the sound quality is like a little bit weird from the chief. Is anyone else hearing that?
Not unless he talks.
Can you say something again?
Good evening. Can you hear me?
That was better for me. Yeah, sorry. Okay, what I'll do is I'll share the screen again and I'll pull up the fire EMS budget. Got it? Okay. So it would be great, since we have some new members, if you wouldn't mind just walking us through the elements of your budget and let us know if, I mean, I believe Nanachka said that this should reflect the most recent up-to-date numbers, but if there are any changes, please let us know.
Okay. So in the wages, what's included in the wages would be the fire chief. We do have an inspector's line. We try to have all the inspections done Monday through Friday, 7 to 3:30, which is when we're staffed. But occasionally that is not the case. People can't meet us for a home inspection, smoke detector inspection. So we do have a line item for certified inspectors to conduct those inspections after 3 p.m. and on weekends that service the citizens in the town. The next is the wages for the firefighters. We look at that. That is inclusive of all the firefighters and the EMTs and the permanent full-time firefighter for callback, overtime, etc. And the Emt Cadet Program, the town's piece is the instructors. So we have 2 coordinators, a year 1 instructor, and 2-year 2-3 instructors, and that is the line item to pay for that. So that would be the salary breakdown for the departments. Going down further, we got to purchase of services. That would be for our annual inspections for the jaws of life, ladders, hose testing, stretchers, stair chairs, etc. That we can anticipate yearly. ALS services, that is if we use an outside ALS service. As you see, there's 10,000 taken off. We have officially launched our paramedic service effective December 23rd with a full stand-up on January 4th of 2021. We are covering 12 hours a day right now, 7 days a week. So we are not going to get a second call or the off hours, the second 12 of the day. So we can't get rid of that exclusively, but we did lower it by 1/3 for this year.
Can I just interrupt there? Is the long-term plan, I mean, I don't know if this is something that's been discussed with the Board of Selectmen, so maybe you can't speak on it, but is the long-term plan to be 24 hours a day?
I can speak to it because it's actually part of the stand-up of the ALS service. We have 3 years to provide 24-hour coverage. So that does not have to be fully in the station to be covered. You can have a dedicated person, a paramedic from home, like we have call firefighters and EMTs right now. We dedicate a paramedic that is available for the evening. Obviously, that would be compensated in some fashion. I cannot answer how that's going to be right now. But this line item should continue to drop over the next couple of years. Does that answer your question, Brian?
Yep.
Okay. Our coastal billing is our medical billing company. So we are going to see an increase of what they're processing. So I anticipated roughly about a $500 increase there for this fiscal year versus last. Electric, that is for all the cisterns that are around town that are connected to wells. The Emerson pump, so we pay the electric bills for that. That's not for the station or anything. Repairs of apparatus, that is again inclusive since we merged. That includes the ambulance, all the ambulance apparatus. So that is the same as last year, and why the big jump from the previous year. Training is the same. That would be for outside training. Luckily this year we did receive a grant for some outside training, so we get additional training. Supplies, again, supplies for the office supplies, operating equipment, gasoline. We did add another vehicle, so that's when we start up at $76. We added a couple trucks to the fleet, so that's why it went up to 6,000 there. Diesels remain the same, the ambulance and the fire apparatus are diesel. We did go with gas for the rest because it just didn't make sense. The upfront cost versus the price of gasoline, diesel, excuse me. Automotive, inspection stickers, oil changes, fuel filter changes. That's in that automotive line. Uniforms, we are currently obligated contractually with the union members for unions for uniforms. So that's why we have a little bump there. Dues and membership, that would be the International Mass Chiefs and the associations that Deputy, myself, belong to the NFPA. So we have the latest changes to guidelines within the fire service. Fire ponds, it's at 20,000, so we have to maintain all the fire ponds throughout town, because unfortunately we have just 2 hydrants within the confines of Bolton. Recognition for the members of the department that we can do something for, and equipment, if we need additional equipment for fire EMS. That's why there's a little jump from FY19, because it does include EMS and fire as well after we merged.
Okay, great. I have a couple questions, but I'll open it to other members of the committee first.
Yeah, Chief Legendre, the EMT Cadet Program, what do you know if there's anything changing about that? I know that there was some talk of it a few weeks ago, a month ago, whatever, about there being problems having one in the future of the high school.
So we are currently, the waiver that was in place since 1989 did expire 12/31 of 2020. We are currently actively working on another waiver, specifically to fall in line with the national standard of 16 being the testing age. We are working with OEMS, and there are several schools throughout the Commonwealth that have a similar program, but they're at the first responder level. So currently the cadets are certified as EMTs, but are working as a first responder on the ambulance. And this is a model that at least 3 are running right now. So in one form or another, we are going to continue the cadet program. Again, we are working on a waiver for testing and scope of practice as an EMT at the age of 16. That is due to be submitted hopefully by the 30th of January to the state with a 1-month turnaround. It's still keeping with our time frame because no in-person classes can take place right now, and the online EMT class is less than desirable from the patient's point of view. So we still on hoping for May or June to be in person.
I wasn't necessarily thinking of the certification waiver action. As I continue to think about it, I think this came up at a Board of Selectmen meeting that the school itself was not going to be able to or desiring to supply a person to move people to drive a vehicle to calls. Maybe this is more of a question for the school, but I thought you might know about it.
I do, so I can answer that part of it too. I didn't know which we have a lot of things going on right now. So as far as the driver situation, we continue to work with the school. There has been no definitive end to it yet. I would say we are working with them. There has been great dialogue between the two agencies right now with the cadets being remote, and if they go back hybrid in March, we are still okay with our current system because the cadets are being housed out of the public safety building right now.
Sounds fine. if I might move on to the automotive section, what caused it to double in a year?
Because we get money from other places to fully go through and do a oil change, fuel filters, lubricate. So this is an actual cost to make sure the apparatus at the required hours is receiving a full gone through.
Okay.
Thank you. Other questions for Chief Legendre?
Yeah, Brian, I had a couple of questions. Can you share your screen again?
Yeah.
The in the wages section, let's see, the permanent firefighter wages. So that actually strikes me as a little low compared to the actuals for several of the past years. Are you confident that that's going to be sufficient?
I am, because the deputy who was at top step is retiring in May, and the next person coming in will not be at top step.
I see. Okay. All right. And then one other question. The fire ponds line, what's the expense there? What does the 20,000 go toward?
So each fire pond, if we are going to use it in a fashion for a fire, we need to maintain them, clean them out. If you drive around town, some have them and some don't. They're called dry hydrants that will extend underneath the ice. So we try to get at least one a year that we can fully clean out, get the parking arranged that will fit our engine, and get a dry hydrant in it that we can access that water 365 days a year.
Right. So is the expense, are you contracting some of the work out that has to be done to get it ready, or?
All of it. Yeah, we don't have the tools. We're talking heavy machinery in there to clean out debris, to lay concrete block with the pipe on it. We do provide the pipe to our contractor. One year we did redo the Emerson pump, so we have one electric pump if needed. So we assess the next pond to be done is Waterquatic Hill Road. It's been identified basically with the hazards around it and the distance between fire ponds. So that's a continual, ongoing process.
How many ponds do we actually have at this point?
15.
15. So they get cleared out once every 15 years? More or less?
It's identified as, 1 year we can split and we only need to clean. Then with that money.
I see a question from Bob Zakansky.
Yeah, hi. The fire pond clean out thing only started like in 2007 or something like that. And the idea was it was going to be $15,000 or $20,000 a year to clean them out, each one.
Oh,
And basically my question was going to be, have we done all of them once in the past 15 years and are we starting another cycle, or have we still not gotten through the original 15? Assuming, I'm not sure if it was 2007 or when exactly we did it. But that's all.
Not all of them have been gone through. We are continuing, and we've been working with Jack Holbrook is still working with us. He knows every inch of every fire pond and which one needs to be next. And so I'm working with Jack, and he's identified the next one to be Waterquatic Hill. And then we're also looking at possibilities of putting some wells on some cisterns that aren't supplied by well water. Earlier in the fall, we were down a significant amount of water that we identified the possible need to do that as well in the future.
Chief, when you do the fire ponds, does somebody from the fire department always go, or is it just you set it up with the contractor and they handle it all?
No, there's a spec written on how they're going to do it. Yes, it's supervised. Are we there every minute? No, we're not, but there is a spec to give them.
The reason I ask it, this is like a very silly reason, but if you think of it, it would be awesome if somebody could just take a picture or two next time it happens, because this is more related to like the master planning effort that's going on, but we're always trying to get pictures of like infrastructure in town. And I think fire ponds is, I mean, we're making an investment, and I think most people in town don't even realize what they're for. And so it'd be great just to have a picture or two of it.
I can actually send you some over from the last, I think it was the last one, if not the one before. The one on Harvard Road, there was in Berlin Road, we have pictures of.
Great, awesome. Thank you. The other thing I wanted to ask about was, it looked like the repairs line for this year so far was, I think you were maybe only 24% through it. So I didn't, first I want to make sure my numbers are right, but do you think that this is just the time of year and you still expect to go through the full 21 grand, or?
I have a couple things on the docket. A lot of the vendors were not coming in March, April, May, due to COVID. We've kind of kept things together. Now they're opening, and we do have a pump repair coming up. We do have some tires to get on an apparatus. So we're going to be within the budget and maybe a little under, but it's going to be, like you said, 24% so far.
Okay. Great. Any other questions about the total fire EMS budget? Okay. Is there a motion to approve budget 230 for $536,006?
I move we approve 230 for $536,006.
And this is Ann, and I'll second that.
Okay. Roll call. Ann.
Aye.
Bob.
Aye.
Craig.
Aye.
Bill.
Aye.
And I'm a yes as well. Okay, great. Thank you very much, Chief. And while we have you, our plan was also to just do a quick preview of the fire department's capital requests. So let me just pull those up for 1 second.
I gotta turn the heat up, I'm freezing. Hang on.
We'll wait till Anna's back.
Sorry, I just had to go over to the thermostat. I'm not sitting by the wood fire, so I'm in the cold part of the room.
No problem. All right, so you've got two items on your wish list for FY22.
Who would you like to start with?
Why don't we start with the fire truck replacement?
Okay. The plan right now is to replace engine 2 with a new piece of apparatus. We are getting close to 20 years with that piece. We've had several issues. We were just talking about repairs in the past 16 months. 16 months. We spent nearly $10,000 on this piece of apparatus to keep it up and going. It is a vehicle that has a firefighting foam system that is out of service. It's been serviced and repaired multiple times. Nobody can seem to get the fix on it. And so we've had to take it out of service and go to a manual system. Electrical issues. So it was time to get a piece of apparatus to replace that truck. I know it's not the oldest one in the fleet, but it would make the most sense given that its job is the water supply truck and the highway rescue truck to make that move this year. So we are looking to purchase a Class A pumper for the replacement of engine 2, along with the appropriate hose and tools that are needed on a rescue truck.
Okay, thank you. And I just, I know it says on this that you've applied for grant funding, but so far nothing has come through. And just didn't know if you had any updates on that.
So this cycle, we do have the AFG coming up for FY 21. Well, actually, their year 21. And I'm going to seek the replacement of engine 4. Engine 4 was initially on the docket for FY 19 replacement. Did not get funding. FY 20 is when we pulled it off. But right now for the AFG, a quick attack or a brush vehicle is high priority for a rural community, which is Bolton is considered under federal granting. So our best shot is to replace engine 4 off the grant and seek funding from the town for this purchase. This was only a medium to low. Engine 4, just to give you a brief overview of the 1986 standard transmission, two-person cab. The pump actually did fail this year, and they do not make the pump any longer, and we cannot get replacement parts. So these are all things that strike high on the grant. Again, no guarantees, but our best shot of getting it would be the engine 4 replacement. So that's why I decided to put this in for capital for the town this year. We are looking at somewhere between 380 to 400 days build time. So that pushes out from town meeting almost a year to a year and a quarter before this vehicle is purchased, and the additional cost and maintenance that seems to be adding up on engine 2 makes it the logical choice to me for the replacement.
Yeah. So let me just elaborate on that for the rest of the committee, and you can tell me if I've misstated anything, but it sounds like because of the lead time for this vehicle, you're seeking town meeting approval of the $800,000 either appropriation or borrowing, but that we might not actually spend any money until the next fiscal year. Even if it's approved for the FY22, we may not actually see money coming out until FY23.
Yes, typically it is cash on backing in our station. Sorry,
you froze for a second.
To our spec. Oh, usually the check is handed off when that vehicle is backed into our station to make sure it hits spec and everything. So you are correct that it would be into the next year.
Okay.
So how do we handle that for the budget, Brad?
So we'll have to get our town administrators' input on this, and probably Ninotchka's as well. My sense is that it may show up as an item, like an article on the warrant, so that it's approved, but that in our budget we may not actually have to have anything coming out of our debt service, principal or interest until FY23.
Yes, I was thinking something close to that.
Makes sense if it gets approved in May. We wouldn't have to spend any money until July 1 of the 13 months later.
I see Bob Zakansky, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, I would wonder though, don't we, I think we have to keep the debt service in the budget until it's actually voted on at town meeting, in case it gets changed at town meeting. Right? Right now, the debt service for fiscal 22 is in the budget. And even though we're not expecting to pay for it or deliver it until fiscal 23, I think we have to keep that money in the budget until the actual vote at town meeting. If the borrowing goes through, then we simply don't do the borrowing until fiscal 23, and we don't incur any interest or anything like that. But I think for purposes of presenting the budget,
I'm not sure I follow.
Have to. If you're not going to pay anything until FY23, I don't think you have to keep it in the operating budget.
Because if the town says yes, we're still not paying in FY22.
Okay, but then why wouldn't you do that with everything?
Because usually if a DPW truck is approved, the order for the truck is usually placed within that fiscal year. But for this, it sounds like we wouldn't be actually paying anything until 23. Whereas with the DPW truck, we would expect to pay before the end of FY22. So the money would have to be there. Right, Nanachka?
That's the way I look at it.
Okay, but what if there's a motion on the floor that says we don't want to pay for it all with a borrowing?
But it sounds like just in terms of the timing, because it's a 400-day lead, it doesn't sound like under any circumstance we're going to be spending money before FY23. Whether it's a borrowing
Last fire truck took 2 to 3 years to pay off, till we had to cut a check.
Okay.
So we borrowed money and spent 2 years worth of debt service without having the item.
Okay, I think you should check on that though.
Yeah. Well, we can we'll confirm with Dawn and maybe.
I will have Kristen contact our FA and find out what he says.
Yeah, before we pull it out of the operating budget. Okay.
Can I ask one quick question of Chief Legendre?
Yeah.
Chief, any idea when we might know about the grants for Engine 4?
It's slated for May right now. Just from past experience, I don't expect anything until July. Really have somewhere around May, and we hear somewhere around July to September. It's in a phase.
The way you describe it, it almost sounds like Engine 4 is in worse shape than Engine 2. And I know you're optimistic that we may get a grant, but if we don't, are we looking at buying 2 trucks next year?
Next year? No, I think we can do another 2 years. And it's a relief valve. The pump did fail its test. It is operating. I got to look at the runs each one does, and the workhorse right now is Engine 2.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, Chief, could you go over the ambulance request?
The ambulance we're looking to replace to be very similar to the one we have. It's on a 5 to 6 year rotation, being a primary. We passed this last year to start up the paramedic program. So we're back this year to replace it. It's probably the most used vehicle out of the department, out of the apparatus. It's to keep it with less problems, less maintenance. Between 5 and 6 years is the right time to think about replacing the vehicle. I know there was, in the long range capital, there was planned for a lower figure, but the specs have changed, the requirements have changed. So we have to put a power load stretcher in every ambulance now. So that right there is $50,000 added on to any ambulance purchase. The vehicle is in fairly good shape. Before we get with a vendor and really start talking about it, we may have trade-in value on this vehicle, so the request could be lower. Again, working some other aspects of it, some other alternative funding, possibly through CARES for that power load stretcher, would lower the cost again. This was put in before we had confirmation that we could have the power load stretcher through CARES. and some other design features that we could lower it a little bit more. We're expecting to pay for this mostly out of ambulance receipts, so there should be little to no impact on the town.
Yeah, okay, so I was just showing everybody right here the anticipated funding source is 375,000. Says other available funds, but that's ambulance receipts reserved. Any other questions for Chief while he's here? Well, you probably know this, but Don Lowe will be coming in at the end of the budget cycle to talk about all the capital as a big block, and he'll have his recommendations. But we appreciate you spending the time with us tonight to go over it.
Thank you very much, Brian. And thank you to everybody in the committee.
Thanks. So any other questions for Chief Legenda before we say good evening to him? No. All right. Thanks so much for joining.
Thank you. Have a good night.
All right, take care. Bye. Great. Well, wow, we wrapped that up pretty quickly. So the only other thing is if somebody wanted to make a motion to accept the minutes that Bill Nichols had emailed around, that would be great.
I move we accept the minutes as emailed around.
I'll second it.
Great. Anne?
That was Ann. Aye.
Yeah. Craig?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
And I'm a yes as well. Okay, that's great. So we will meet next Tuesday at 6:30. And I think that's it. Is there a motion to adjourn, or anybody have any questions?
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Great. I'm just going to say all in favor can say aye.
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 All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night. Thank you, Bob, for coming.
Yep, good night, thank you.
Good night.
Thanks, good night.
Good night. Bye, Natasha.